Hello. Today we're going to be realizing the floor of language, but first, let's go over the decks. First, I have the Red Mist with 3 Spear, 3 Level Slash, 2 Focus Spear, and an Emotional Turbulence. For passives, I have Keeping Stride, Fervor, and I have Death Enervation. I'd recommend using Mio's Prowess instead of I Death Enervation, but I want to challenge myself and complete this without using it, so that people who are not as skilled as me perhaps can beat it very easily. Next we have Purple Tier, 3 blank decks, and then Overcharge Guard deck with Ominous Power, 2 Leap, 2 Energy Conversion, 3 Overcharge, and 1 Beyond. I'd say that you can replace the Ominous Power with a Graze the Grass, but you would not be able to replace the Beyond with a Serpentine Barrier, and you'll see why, maybe. For passives, I have Triple R-Suit, Energy Discharge, Fervor, and Keep You in Stride. Next, we have a standard Xiao Singleton, Unlock, Graze the Grass, Multi-Slash, Fire Dragon Slash, Rule the City in Prescript, Emotional Turbulence, Fervent Emotions, and Raging Storm Love. And for passives, I have Locked Potential, Volatile Passion, and Health Hauler. Next, we have Yan, similar deck. Unlock, Graze the Grass, Multi-Slash, Fire Dragon Slash, Will of the City, Repressed Flesh, Will of the Prescript, Emotional Turbulence, and Baleful Brand. And here for passives, Fervor, Locks Potential, Health Hauler. And finally we have Nikolai, Oops All Enablers with Graze the Grass, Multi-Slash, Bulky Impact, Quick Suppression, Will of the City and Prescript, Emotional Turbulence, Battle Command, and Concentration. For passives, I have Bionic Charge Synchronized Hull, Maximum Crash, and finally Health Hauler. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so this realization is basically just the first phase. Everything else is dead easy, and thankfully the first phase will theoretically only take a couple of scenes unless you fail, because like in the Abnormality battle, Crimson Scar has to get the kill, and so you need to bring down the wolf to a low HP without quite killing it, which is perhaps unsurprisingly somewhat difficult. So first I'll switch stance and check Prescript. So I've found that for Prescript 3, generally giving it to Gebura at the start is good, just because she struggles with page draw at the start of the act. Once she gets to emotion level 5, which shouldn't take too long, it's pretty good, but before that it's kind of hard. But yeah, if it's the light one, obviously you can give it to Purple Tier if she had to change stances to refill the light, and strength and protection are variable. So now we can go over the pages. Cruel Claws is 4 to 9, 6 to 10 slash, and then a 4 to 8 block, and it also has a 5 to 9 counter block that gives strength on Clash Win. This one is pretty hard to beat. It's equal to Baleful Brand on 2, which is the hardest part to beat, but that's still 50-50, so you may just want to absorb it, and we'll see. Bloodstained Hunt, 5 to 8, 5 to 8 slash, and then a 4 to 8 pierce, and all of them inflict 4 bleed. This one, Overcharge works really well, Spear works reasonably well, but it's not great, Battle Command, stuff like that. This one, not super difficult to beat. Then Bloodstained Hunt. And then Ferocious Fangs, 6 to 10 block, 5 to 8 pierce that restores 10 HP on hit. This one is easier to beat than Cruel Claws, just because, you know, 6 to 10 versus 5 to 8. And it also has a 5 to 9 block counter die. Let's quickly check Crimson Scar's pages. So we got Beast Hunt and Spot the Prey. We don't really need to care about these ones in particular. She does have a mass attack that she'll be using every couple of scenes, and there is one ranged page that we might see later, which is somewhat important to be aware of. But for now, since the wolf only has 4 dice, only 4 of our librarians will be able to clash, and so the one that doesn't will need to use a light regen page on them, just to make sure that they don't have no light for the next scene, obviously. Alright, so unfortunately the wolf ended up getting 3 strength because Crimson Scar low rolled, but it's fine for now, I guess. Alright, so Strike Without Hesitation is mass attack, mass individual, 10 to 10, and on hit, Crimson Scar will gain 1 strength for every target hit next scene for a max of a +6. But since Wolf has 3 strength, what is it targeting this? It's somewhat reasonable. Since Gebura I got 3 strength, we can actually clash with a level slash here. And it'll be somewhat reasonable. And then for the rest, I usually just like ignore it or like throw like a light regen on top. Since the wolf is at 190 HP, we need to be somewhat careful to not kill it, especially since we have Mark. So I've had a lot of runs where it's like, yeah, this is a good amount of HP, and then the wolf will just randomly die. So if you do end up failing, it's pretty common. Just keep restarting until you pass this phase, and the rest of them should be pretty easy. So 3 strength is a little annoying, but I'll just keep clashing normally. Alright, for passives, Praise pretty strong because most of these are single enemies. Roll of the Wolf is alright on either Gebura or purple tier. Vampirism is like not great for me. I have some bleed from level slash, I believe, but not typically enough for me to want to take it over Prey, and I'll just put it on Gebura. Alright, so here the wolf is below half, I believe, is what causes this. Yes, so higher than 50. Sure, okay. It uses Howl, which is a 7 to 11 mass summation. Unfortunately, since the wolf is so low, we kind of need to just ignore it. If we had Beyond here, then we'd be able to clash like that, but we don't. Here we go, Hollow Point Shell. So the big thing is the 7 to 11 that destroys all of the dice on the target's page. So if it clashes into a counter die, it'll destroy all of them. And with 5 strength, it's pretty likely. But 98 HP is quite a lot, so we still need to clash a little. So this is just time where you gotta be really careful though. Like overcharge would probably be overkill. And so I'll hold back on that. Alright, again here, Fear of Water is actively detrimental, so it's between Roll of the Wolf and Vampirism, and I think I'll just take Roll of the Wolf and put it on purple tier for the counter dice. Alright, so 30 HP, extremely low, I believe. Yeah, so Strike Without Hesitation might actually stagger the wolf here, and then Catch Breath will win. So I think I just pass here and just eat the damage, unfortunately. Alright, there we go. So, for Cobalt Scar, at the start of the scene, it'll eat one of your librarians, and you'll have to stagger it. 250 stagger resist, but it's failed to everything. And it'll be casting 3 A Wolf Was About, which is just some slash counter dice. But it shouldn't matter too much in this case, because we have really high rollers. So now we just need to deal as much damage as possible, and try and stagger the wolf to get our librarian back, because if not, they'll get immediately killed. But even then, it's not a super big issue. Alright. Fantastic. And so now we'll be able to deal some damage to the wolf, although I believe 140 is the threshold or so. So we'll just use this time to recover our light and such. And then we'll get into the next phase. You might be tempted to use Manifest Ego. Don't. It's a trap, and you will very likely get staggered if you do at this stage. You can do it at the start of phase 3 though. Alright, so for tier 2s, I'm going to be grabbing Absorption and Instincts. I'll start with Absorption for now. I'll just put on my Gebura and she'll end up getting a ton of strength over the course of the fight. And now, let's see, we got the big one will be Bad Wolf. So we'll start with Uncontrollable Instinct. 5 to 11 blunt, that rolls 5 times without processing damage, and then immediately at the end of the 5th attack, it'll deal damage equal to the sum of the rolls. For this, an evade die works decently well, but since it's a 5 to 11, you're not likely to beat it. So I find probably just best to clash with an Emotional Turbulence, or just accept that you're gonna get staggered. In this case, it's hitting Gebura, so I think I might just be, yeah, Emotional Turbulence will be fine. Bloodstained Hunt, 4 to 8, 7 to 12, both are slash. And the 7 to 12 will break a speed die of a target on hit, which is not good. So yeah, try and mitigate that if you can. It's quite hard to beat without strength stacking, but I believe in you. Ferocious Fangs, 6 to 10 block, and then 4 to 8. This one's a little easier to beat, even though the block die does reduce the power. It also has a 4 to 8 block counter that gives strength on Clash Win, but that shouldn't matter. And then Unsparing Myongest, I don't know, it just reminds me of Among Us. 3 slash dice, all roll fairly low, and has a 3 to 7 that gives strength on Clash Win. So overall, Uncontrollable Instincts might just let one of your librarians get staggered to reset their stagger resistance, especially these two. But in this case I can't, and so just clash normally with the rest of your pages and should be good. Alright, so now the wolf is in its hunt phase, and I'll be casting 2 Ambush, which is a 6-10 Pierce, and I believe it'll always be targeting your Gebura. In this case, I will use Focus Spirit for 1, and I can let my my counter die deal with the other one, if I wish, or I could do a Spear, and I think I will use a Spear in this case, even though it's slightly worse, but should still be fine. You could also try and actually kill the wolf, even though you can't act with the rest of your librarians. Your Gebura might just be enough, but it doesn't particularly matter. And after this, you'll be able to kill the wolf very easily, either way. Alright, so now it'll be casting Howl, 15 to 15 Mass Summation, so not a threat at all pretty much, but on hit it'll deal 10 stagger damage. So here it might be a good idea to reset the stagger resist of the librarians who are low while you still have a chance. And then for the rest of your librarians, just come in and kill. So I think I'll just do that and pass with these two, because then they'll get staggered, and yeah. Alright, so next we'll be fighting Smile. And they'll start at 300 HP. They have 2 strength, but that shouldn't matter too much because we have Red Mist. So here they'll be casting Vomit, 15 to 15 mass summation. That'll inflict a lot of status defects this scene. So these two are just going to be eating it, but since all the status defects are this scene, it shouldn't matter too much, especially since we have HP regen on both of them. So that's fine. Flop down 5 to 8, 5 to 8, and both of them will deal 8 stagger damage and break a speed die on hit. And then Devour 5 to 8, 5 to 8 Pierce, and on hits they'll recover 8 HP. So this is where you'll be manifesting your ego on Gebura, and as you know, it'll restore 6 light, fully recover stagger resist, and give you some extra stuff, which is very nice. So yeah. Alright, and here said I'll take Instincts, and that's exactly what I'll do, and I'll stack it on Gebura. Alright, so here, Pained Whale, 3 to 8, 3 to 7, and both of them on hit deal 5 stagger damage from the melted corpses. And they also have the rot passive like they did in the regular fight, where upon taking the hit, they'll deal 8 damage and inflict a fragile. Thankfully, Gebura has a built-in counter die, so we can ignore that. But since she's in her ego form, we can't exactly take time off to let other people get a chance to clash. So, unfortunately, it's just going to have to be like this. Alright, so next phase, or next part of this fight, I guess. Horde Screech, 6 to 8, 6 to 8 mass individual, and on hit the first one deals 4 stagger, and on hit the second one deals 8. Absorb, 5 to 10 blunt, that's deals 8 stagger damage on hit, and the target's current die cannot be recycled. And then there's a 3 to 7 Pierce, that on hit recovers 10 HP and immobilizes the target. So definitely clash into this, but the rolls aren't too threatening, especially if you have Gebura. And then another Devour. So again, we can ignore these pretty much, since I believe all of our, everyone has at least one page that has a counter die, so we can just use that to not take any damage from these guys at all, and just focus everything onto Smile. Alright, and now we have the final phase of Smile, so just more Devours, more Pained Whales, more of the same stuff. And then once you kill Smile, you'll still need to kill the melted corpses, but Raging Storm Love takes care of them most likely, and Grey Split Horizontal definitely takes care of them immediately. Alright, and so now I'll just Raging Storm Love, and I'll do just a couple extra pages just in case. Right, And same deal. I'll actually clash here a little bit just because I want the emotion coins because she's so low. But she might actually just die randomly. Yeah, whatever. No time like the present. Alright, so we might have lost our ego, but that's fine. Against Nosferatu, or Dipsia, I guess, in this case. Let's start with Thirst. So this, well, this is not good, but whatever. So range page 7 to 11 slash, 5 to 9 pierce, 4 to 8 pierce. And some effects. Elegant Supper, 4 to 8, 5 to 8 both pierce. And another Elegant Supper. Note that these are all ranged. Then for the Sanguine Bats, we got Blood Sucking, 3 to 8, 3 to 8 evade, 3 to 6 pierce, and if speed is higher 5 or higher, all dice get 2 power. Digging Teeth, 3 to 7, 3 to 7 with the same speed clause. Avid Thirst, 3 to 8 evade, 5 to 10 pierce with that same speed clause, and another Blood Sucking. So normally you're not stupid like me and let your ego die. I guess that's why you might make the argument for just using Greatest Split horizontal. But the idea for me is that I kind of want to use it here to just one-shot all the bats. But I think it's fine to not as well, so in that case probably just don't do what I did there. Yeah. Alright, so here I guess I will just, oh, I don't have it anymore, okay. Still have some of my power, but no ego, I guess, so yeah, makes sense. Here, I'm just gonna try and kill the bats. Anything new? Aha, here we go. Banquet of Blood. So 12 to 16 slash summation. And on hit, inflict Sphere of Water. So this is not particularly a threat unless you're out of light or staggered. Then Noble Repose, just a couple 3 to 7 evades. So nothing we haven't really seen before. I guess I can use a Shao mass attack to kill the bats. But yeah, so just handle this mass attack and then hopefully kill this scene. Since they're pretty close to staggering, it should be relatively simple. Alright, so now we're in the second phase, so new pages. Merciless Gesture, 3 to 9, 3 to 9 slash. This is a pretty standard page and fairly easy to beat. Violent Gesture, just adds another 3 to 9. Again, very easy to beat. And another Violent Gesture. So here, I guess we can just clash with Gebura, clash with Purple Tear, and like, that's pretty much it. Alright, now we can move on to the last phase, Mimicry. So this is a 3-part fight. So first one against this form, we have Reaching Hand, 6 to 10, 3 to 7, and the first one adds 2 copies of Terror to hand. You don't want to get Terror in your hand, so you're gonna clash with this with your Red Mist, hopefully. Eye Contact, 4 to 5, 5 to 10, that adds 2 copies of Terror on hit. Same deal. Dense Flesh, 3 to 7s that all inflict 1 disarm. This one is very not threatening because 3 to 7 is quite low for this stage in the game. And other Dense Flesh. So hopefully we'll be able to kill this phase, either this scene or next scene, and then we can move on to phase 2. Alrighty, so in phase 2, Mimicry will have 100 HP. At the start of the scene, they'll recover half of their max HP, and after 2 scenes, they'll transform into the third form, or if you kill it, it'll transform. And the amount of HP it has is dependent on the amount of HP it has remaining in this form. So if you kill it, phase 3 will start at 70% max HP. Doesn't particularly matter in this case, but it's best to just kill it here because it's easy. So I'll be casting 3 copies of Hard Cocoon, which is 3 to 6 block counter die that recover 10 HP on hit. And on Clash Win, deal 5 stagger damage, but you're not going to lose a Clash to a 3 to 6 unless you're like actively trying to. So again, we'll just Red Mist stuff up and get ready for phase 3. Alright, so now we'll enter phase 3 of Mimicry. So let's start. So we have Goodbye. So it rolls 20 to 40, which is quite powerful, and it can spend 10 imitation to boost the damage of the dice on this page by 10, so it rolls 30 to 50. Thankfully, it's not, so we can deal this fairly easily with Greater Split Vertical, because we have so much strength. And if we can get even more, that's great. Flail Skin, 6 to 10 Pierce, 6 to 10 Pierce. Both of them deal 8 stagger damage on hit. So again, just Red Mist stuff. Follow, 5 to 8, 5 to 8. This one anyone can take care of really. And another follow. Notably, these 2 passives make it extremely tanky. So if an instance of damage would deal 10 damage or less, it deals 0 instead. And if the character took 80 or less damage with the scene, they'll recover 10% of their max HP at the end of the scene. So if you start losing here, you're going to keep losing because you just won't be able to deal enough damage. So this is another potential roadblock if your Red Mist gets killed, but thankfully we have all of our Librarians alive, and so we'll just be able to keep pounding it, and most of our stuff will deal no damage, but our Red Mist and Purple Tear will be able to get some good hits in. So here you go. Mimic 4 to 8, 4 to 8, 3 to 7. So again, fairly easy to beat. Hello. This is 10 to 15 Pierce ranged, and it can spend 5 Imitation to boost the power by 2. It won't always be casting Goodbye on the first part of this phase. Sometimes we'll be casting Hello, and so don't be lured into casting Greater Split vertical against Hello, or else it'll cast Goodbye, and you'll be like, I don't have a thing to counter this, and you'll have to tank it, which sucks. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So inflicting burn is a pretty cool thing to do, because if you inflict enough, it'll actually trigger. Unfortunately, erosion does not, because the erosion tick deals 2 damage, and so it gets reduced to 0, so it's not great. Alright, there we go. So, again, phase 1 is by far the hardest part of the fight, because you need to actually think for a bit and calculate your damage and stuff. Or you can be like me and just throw your head at it until you get it right. Everything else is pretty simple. Last phase can be a bit of a roadblock if you don't have enough DPS, but overall, not too difficult other than that first phase, so that's the fight. After realizing the flow of language, you'll get access to these abnormality pages. Goodbye doubles the power of the last die the selected librarian plays each scene. This normally is just fine, but if played around can be very effective. By strength stacking Gebura and manifesting your ego, you can use Greater Split horizontal in no other pages and have it roll around 100, which obviously is quite devastating. Next, we have Hello, which makes the first die the selected librarian plays each scene heal them equal to the damage dealt. This page is what I would usually take if I'm playing normally, as the healing improves the librarian's staying power substantially. Finally, Shell nullifies all stagger damage the selected librarian would take. This is what I and most people take for solo play. The librarian is going to be tanking a lot of attacks, so preventing stagger is very important to keep going. Additionally, you'll get access to these 5 ego pages. Crimson Scar is a 1 cost with a single 4 to 8 block die, and on use, synchronizes the librarian with Red Riding Hooded Mercenary for 3 scenes. The deck consists of 5 cards. Strike Without Hesitation is a 4 cost mass summation that rolls 15 to 25. This is just a solid mass attack. Bullet Shower is a 4 cost mass individual rolling 4 to 8, 3 to 7, 3 to 7, all pierce. Again, another solid mass attack. Beast Hunt is the ego's light regen, restoring 2 light on use and having solid rolls. Hollow Point Shell doesn't have the best rolls, but is serviceable. Finally, Desynchronize has 2 mediocre block dice and desyncs the librarian at the start of the next scene. Overall, the main feature of this synchronization is the 2 fantastic mass attacks. Next, we have Cobalt Scar. This is a 5 cost melee page that has 2 fairly strong slash dice. The gimmick of this page is that the dice don't deal damage on hit, and instead, if the first die is rolled 4 times, then the second die deals damage equal to the sum of all the attacks that landed. This is a fairly strange page, but can dish out a ton of damage. Smile is a 4 cost mass individual rolling 7 to 14. Additionally, on hit, it inflicts 2 feeble and disarm this scene. 7 to 14 on an individual is nothing to sneeze at, and the status defects are fantastic as well. Dipsia is a 5 cost mass submission rolling 17 to 28. Additionally, on hit, the user restores 5 HP and gains 1 strength next scene, while the target gets 5 bleed and 1 strength next scene. This page can restore a decent amount of HP and gives a lot of strength, but it is somewhat risky as you can give the opponent strength as well. Finally, Mimicry is a 5 cost melee page that rolls 19 to 35. Additionally, the die inflicts 10 bleed on hit and the user recovers HP equal to the damage dealt. This page can recover a lot of HP, Butt is a 5 cost with a single die, so you'll often end up needing to free hit with it, or else you risk undoing all of the HP that you just gained. I personally take Smile, Dipsia, and Mimicry, but you can definitely make the argument for taking Crimson Scar for the 2 strong mass attacks. I tend to avoid Cobalt Scar, but I can see that one getting used as well. Do know that if you have the Red Mist's page equipped, Gebura will not be able to use these ego pages as she has her own. In the next video, we'll be realizing the floor of social sciences. I'll see you soon, and as always, thank you for watching.